Hi, my name's Patric Foley, and this is my review for The Monster Inside Me for UK Film Review. This film is a feature-length documentary. It focuses on the challenges and dangers of Lyme disease. In particular, the misunderstood and understudied case of chronic Lyme disease in people, which the documentary subjects Tony and Francis Silva have suffered with through many years due to Francis's condition. The documentary has a dual focus of the personal lives and story, as well as a scientific breakdown of the causes of the disease, forms of treatment for the disease, how chronic Lyme disease affects people across the world, and what is being done about it. As well as offering these explanations, the film has criticisms of how Lyme disease and chronic Lyme disease is handled by the sort of medical establishment, particularly in the United States, where the film's focus is, and how this is being treated across the world as well as exploring alternative solutions and treatments that can be available and have helped other people around the world. I was surprised based from the film's sort of marketing and even the film's title, how sort of jovial and entertaining the film was. The film sort of sets itself out as being quite a almost horror-based look at Lyme disease and the dangers of it, but in fact the way the narration, particularly from Tony Silva, is presented with a sort of comedic tone at times, a bit of a snarky tone. There is a lot of intercut clips of people like Robin Williams talking about what it's like to live with a disease or to live on medication. It adds a real humour to the documentary that was unexpected, but I thought very effective, which also helps to garner empathy and sympathy and things like this with Francis's condition and the condition of other people suffering with the disease. Even with this colourful presentation, though, the film still focuses on some pretty harrowing issues and also some very technical sort of sections as well when it discusses the sort of science and the medical aspect of Lyme. There are some difficult moments which show how the sort of illness can affect people both physically and mentally, and also some moments where the film gets in some very detailed and technical scientific language and analysis that can be difficult to follow at times, but the filmmakers usually do try and spice things up by having difficult narration over images or doing kind of for dummies breakdowns of some of the more difficult concepts. The film does seek to challenge mainstream medical kind of understanding and established knowledge around Lyme, and this is done quite effectively through presentation of a lot of scientific data that they've gathered themselves, as well as stories of individuals suffering, to present a pretty convincing and interesting case for how Lyme is treated. There are also some more conspiratorial beliefs in there about things like the CDC and Big Pharma, who the documentary believes are conspiring specifically not to treat Lyme in order to profit from it by keeping people hooked on drugs. This is a pretty popular belief in many circles that this kind of thing goes on. It's the subject of stand-up comedy specials over the years and things like that, but the documentary kind of just presents it as fact without really backing it up the way it backs up its claims about the different treatments for Lyme, for example, and it just pales a bit in comparison to the harder work that's carried out there. It feels a bit more of a stretch, to be honest, to make such claims in a documentary that does really good work elsewhere, and I thought kind of cheapened the overall piece that those types of beliefs were included without real sort of strong evidence to back it up. The film is produced really well. The footage captured is really impactful and presented in a very professional way that allows people to speak about their beliefs. There's a lot of experts included, as well as a lot of sufferers who add a real personal touch to the film. There are footage included that's more sort of interpretive and stage footage from the filmmakers, but which is metaphorical for the kind of experiences that Francis particularly has had, which I thought added to the film a lot. And for a film that's almost an hour and 45 minutes long, it never began to drag or become disengaging with myself as a viewer, even with some really difficult technical concepts at times. I thought it was entertaining and engaging throughout. So I definitely recommend The Monster in Me. I found it very informative and interesting, and presented its case very well in a very sort of authoritative and believable, genuine manner. The personal touches and stories of the Silvas and the other Lyme sufferers in the film have definitely opened my eyes to the disease, which I think was the ultimate purpose of the documentary. And I'll definitely be checking myself for tics more often and being a lot more aware of Lyme than I ever was before.